But Doc, you hit me with this. You were in Philadelphia this weekend for the Commanders game.
I took a lot of heat for Detroit at the Eagles. Was it Fly Eagles? I was making fun of their fight song and Go Birds, and oh my gosh. I go, bring me an Alpha song soon. Well, I didn't make a lot of friends with that one.
No, it is not an Alpha song at all. You know what? You're right, Doc. Stand on business. You're right. You're right about that. Plus, the city is less than. But anyway, I digress. I'm not here to get you in trouble.
A little bit.
Doc, you had something very interesting. And yesterday, I kind of made some waves, I guess, around, and people got a little upset, hosts at this show and everything. And I talked about the fact that Jared Goff, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen are all at the same point in their careers. They all are. There's one thing left to do. And they're all going to kind of float through space, and if they don't end up doing it, then they'll fall by the wayside as history moves on. Just kind of the way Dan Marino has. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's the Jordan year. It's the, I guess that would be the biggest comparison is the Jordan. Who can tell me how many teams lost to Jordan that fell by the wayside?
All of them.
Yeah. I mean, I can't think. I mean, Pistons were there. At least they started their run before that.
Yeah, but I'm talking like in the finals, yeah, they all just kind of, the Jazz team, the Sonics, all that stuff.
Reggie Miller is probably the biggest one that comes to mind.
Right. But anyway, though, Doc, you kind of, and I'm looking to kind of blend this into a thing because you hit me with something where, as a talking point, Jared Goff and his road and was basically thrown into the trash by the Rams. The Lions were compensated a first-round pick to take him. Now, He's come here. He's excelled. Second in the league in passing this year, fourth in touchdowns. Second in the league in passing, fourth in touchdowns last year. He's excelled. He's been good. He's been very, very good
very
here.
Good.
You brought up something, though. The mental state of basically being thrown in the trash, right? Because that's what McVay did. That's what the Rams did.
Yeah. Yes. Are you going there or am I going there?
You're going there. Like, yeah, you brought it up. You're going there right now. Is it a thing? Is there a thing to that?
Look, at the end of the day, these people aren't superhuman. Kansas City may be a little superhuman, the closest thing.
Mahomes, yeah.
Yeah, but there's a mental capacity, right? There's a conscious and there's subconscious. There's things that stay in your head. Like we pick on Osgood that he can't remember what happened yesterday. That's a total benefit to him. Can Jared do that? Can he forget what happened yesterday? Or is it sit in the back of his head? It's like, did I just confirm that LA was right about me? Or do I have a chip on my shoulder? Who's he going to be? When we thought that was happening this year. And, I don't want to go same old lines, but there's a mental component in your subconscious that it feeds you. Like you every day. Like if I love it. Somebody gave me an example that as we age, we scar. Our mind gets scarred, right? When we're a young kid, we're jumping off the cliff, we're doing everything. I have no hesitation. As we get older, we have a learning curve that creates, I don't know if scarring is the best thing, but we'll use it. You get scarring in your brain that's still there. It's like, it's still sitting there like, oh God, I've seen this story before. I've seen this happen to me before. I'm free, I'm getting a little anxious. I'm getting anxiety. I'm getting something going on. When they pan to Jared versus the Washington quarterback at the time of our game, Jared looked like he was a deer in headlights and the other one looked like he was calm. He has less scarring, right? You can go to golf, the scarring in golf, the psychological play of the game. There's a lot of that, throwing it out there. I've been using secret sauce. Now we're using mind scarring, but it does. I mean, Mac was great at not remembering crap. I mean, he was just forge ahead. I mean, if he had a lot of scarring, he wouldn't have been as successful as he is. So there's that, I call it an X factor, an ability to just move ahead and dominate when you're in that situation. So, you talk to it, Gervin's a great friend of mine. He came up against teams that he couldn't beat. He didn't get that championship. But is he an unbelievable human? Yeah, he's an unbelievable human. Is Josh Allen and Lamar coming up against an ear where they're going to be that guy in the background, the Marino with the huge numbers and no, trophy to show for it. Yeah, I mean, when you talk to these boys, I mean, there's a hierarchy. There's a hierarchy,
and it's definite.
It's there. Like when you're in a room, there's homage to the guys that have won it all, and there's a psychological component. And it's huge.
I would ask DMAC about it, but it doesn't relate. Like you're not an authority on this, because I've actually, when we've talked about these types of things, where you have told me, well, the only way is through. The only way is through.
I think that the biggest thing is, and the mental capacity of anything else, because you're older, you're tenured or whatever, but you got to look around. And you got to look around to see. And the biggest difference, if we're talking with Goff, is he's supported 100% by an organization as opposed to being thrown out by another one. That gives you confidence because it's belief. Now, when it's down to you and it's execution and stuff like this, and we can all agree you don't want to play your worst game at the end of the year. Right. But I don't find Jared Goff, like, mentally, I think he's okay. If you're talking about anyway, like, you're in such a worse mental situation if you're a Lamar Jackson or a Josh Allen. Why? Because you have to beat Mahomes, and then you got to beat each other and stuff like this. So at the end of the day, Neil, sports is failure. Sports is more failure than not. It's just, can you rise above? And at the end of the day, like, the only way out is through. You're either going to, like, but sometimes the moment and the mentality more than the physicality can take over to some players.
Oh, yeah.
And you know who those guys are? You don't hear about them, right? Because that doesn't make them special. I think that a lot of times when it comes down to that, when you are mentally, because you're not always mentally tough, but that's why you have the guy next to you, the organization next to you to tell you, to believe in you. Jared Goff just came out and told you if he was going to crack, it would have been when he walked into the office in 2022 and he thought he was going to get benched, and Dan Campbell instead gave him all his flowers and reinvigorated him and stuff. So confidence-wise in this organization is not even, I don't even think it's close to even Buffalo or Baltimore. When Doc brought this conversation up, I'm asking who's more frazzled, and I would say out of all the three of them, because they're in the same spot, it's Lamar. It'll be Lamar out of all of them.
What's your take on that? And again, you're not in the room. You don't know. You don't talk to these guys. But I'm a big body language guy.
Yeah.
The Josh Allen postgame was very telling to me. Like, he looked shook. He sounded shook.
What did I tell you when we were watching the game, going into whatever like this, is that I thought, right, that if Buffalo was ever going to do it, this was this, like, and what did Josh Allen show you after? Like, that's a guy that's got to come back. Jared Goff's already been to where Josh Allen's been, right? He's already been to that devastation, and he's moved beyond that, right? Josh Allen, he wore it. He wore the season. He wore the stress. He wore Bills Mafia and stuff like that. That's to what Doc's talking about, Neil. I think that's exactly what we saw.
I mean, Josh Allen almost felt like what I saw is that we put everything out there and we still lost. What do we have to do?
Like, he played the best. He had the best year of his career.
Best year by far, and he took that team on his shoulders and he did it. And it's just Kansas City has that factor. We can blame the referees. We can go to all the TikToks showing that it wasn't a catch and it was a first down and all that. Yeah, there's a lot of, but Josh Allen's like, what do I have to do to become Mahomes? I mean, I'm putting it all out there. He's mentally strong. He has that X factor. He was just beat by a stronger X factor. Lamar's got a whole nother issue. I don't know him personally. I don't put him in the same category as a player. He comes from a different cloth, and he's very successful at that different cloth. Jared is more, that Tom Brady like that, Josh Allen like, execute and be surgical while you're doing it. I just hope, did his subconscious play a role? Is it like so much internal pressure? Like we all have internal pressure, like when the lights go on with the cop coming up behind you, you have that uncontrollable pressure on you, that anxiety, and that happens to people like, oh my God, I've seen this before. I get anxious. I want him, does he need to take a sports psychologist? Was there a reason? I'm just saying he's human is what I'm getting at. He's human. We all experience it. We all have whatever it is in our playbook, that we get a little bit more anxious. If Aunt Betty's coming to Thanksgiving dinner and she's got to rip on me again about something I did at 12 years old, you anticipate that stuff.
Yeah.
And you overreact. But I don't know where I'm going with this.
Well, Doc, I guess because I kind of want to spin into something else I talked about yesterday, where I said that at his point in his career, that Patrick Mahomes is further ahead of Michael Jordan than Michael Jordan was in his. He's a better player right now than Michael Jordan was in his career at this time. And I got assassinated for it. But I still believe it. I 100%. Like, his worst season he's ever had was losing in overtime in the AFC Championship game. That's rock bottom for him. You know what I'm saying? But the commonalities of it, when we talk about Josh Allen and Lamar and Goff, and then there's Mahomes. And Jordan is kind of looked that way too, right? Like because he won in the finals all the time.
Tiger also.
Tiger as well. That's a great. Do you see that way with Mahomes? Do you see that with that? Because he always comes through. Always.
Yeah, but you got to go, like, who did he start out with? Who was the support team? He had the Pistons he had to fight through. He had the Lakers he had to fight through with Jordan. Did Jordan have a skill set that was second to none that didn't know how to be harnessed? Coach Reed, is he just a better immediate fit? Jordan got a coach that finally fit him with who's the big coach for Chicago?
Phil Jackson.
Phil Jackson, yeah. Thank you. There's a lot of factors. Yeah, when you take purity of winning and championships, Mahomes is probably further ahead. Does that mean he's going to sustain it? I think it's harder to sustain in football than in basketball's hard too. It's just
we're talking about the best in the world. Yeah,
you're two goats that are fractionally different. Tiger Woods, if anything, he's far ahead of all of them, and then he bowed out, and everybody said he was going to beat Jack Nicklaus's records, and he wasn't able to do that. So I don't know. It's hard. You bow your head to their greatness. That's all I can say.
That's where we end up.
Where's Tom Brady in that discussion? He sat on the bench for how long and, got his opportunity. Patrick, was he that good? Could anybody, what's so good is, could we look at them in college, any one of these players, and say they are who they are today? Their college career compared, look at how many times we're wrong.
Yeah, and no, the answer is no.
There's no way
because if they were, they would have been the number one overall picks,
right?
And that's what it is. Doc, before we cut out of here for the day, there was some Pistons discussion and trade deadline discussion, and we got on Lonzo Ball because he's kind of been rumored as to be a guy that the Pistons are. Why you got to act like that? Why you got to respond like that, Doc? Yeah,
I'm just waiting to hear what you're going to ask me.
DNC ENT asked the question. Are Lonzo's knees cooked, Doc? He had a cartilage transplant in his knees. Are you betting he can play 5 more years or no? And again, you're parachuting into this. You don't know. You haven't evaluated him. Lonzo's 27?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that I get it right here. 27. Cartilage transplant. Had some injury issues, stuff like that. He's only under contract though for the rest of the year. You're not assuming anything. But I guess as a basketball player, cartilage transplant, that's probably pretty scary to hear.
It's scary to hear, but also today's medicine's pretty good. I always allude to the secret sauce type of thing. That's where it really plays a big role, is in knee, in cartilage, in the meniscal repairs, in that attitude. So if he's conscious of it and is very protective of his knees, there's ways around it to definitely get 5 years out of him. Like in the early days, not to name names, but Tim Duncan was a good friend of mine. That he thought his career was over, and if you noticed,
name names, I'll just name a goat.
Sorry, Doc. Go ahead.
It's in an article, but I can't.
Excuse my good friend Darren McCarty here and his rudeness.
Hey, I drop his name all the time too. See where that gets me.
Goat and a donkey, dropping Tim Duncan goat, dropping D-Mac donkey. There you go. Yeah. Anyways, your friend Tim Duncan told you.
No, that's where we started some of that, secret sauce stuff for him. And, he ended up playing 3 to 4 more. I think 3 years for sure, the 4th year. And just preventative. Like, they go from that mature, okay, I'm a young kid, I can do anything, to I'm mature, I need to watch my off season, watch my off times, be very conscious, be always with the trainer 100%. And is Lonzo going to do that? I think, he's not a Tim Duncan commitment, but I think to get that salary and be productive, he still has something to prove in this league. I mean, Lonzo, he hasn't really done what we've expected out of him. He's floated around to a few different teams. Is he worth 5 years here in Detroit? I don't think his knees are going to be the limiting factor.
There you go. All right. Well, Doc, appreciate the time, my friend.
This
as
was
always.
fun.
No,
Thanks for throwing.
No, this was a good discussion. And
Did the chat like it?
no, 100% it was. That'll do it for Big D Energy today. For Dr. Pierce, for Darren McCarty, for Chase and KG, I'm Neil Rule. Thanks for tapping in.
Don't miss out on Expert
Well, see you
Sports
later.
Injury Insight with Dr. Jeff Pierce of Michigan Sports and Spine. Join Dr. Pierce every Tuesday during Big D Energy and Thursdays during Ermanni and Edwards, where he offers top-notch injury advice. Trust the guy that I trust. Dr. Jeff Pierce is here to keep you in the game and performing at your best. For more information, visit MichiganSportsandSpine.com or call 248-426-9944.